Hey everyone, how are you? For those of you who don't know me, my name is Donna Vincent. I'm a certified pet food nutrition specialist, and today I want to share with you some information about ingredient splitting, what that means when it comes to your pet food. Ingredient splitting is a practice that manufacturers do by taking a more abundant ingredient and splitting it into smaller portions so that it ends up lower on the ingredient list. It will then artificially raise the animal protein to the number one spot. 47% of pet owners say they want to see animal protein as the first ingredient. And manufacturers know this, so that's why they will split ingredients. When it comes to ingredient splitting, it does not apply to the animal protein. Here's some examples of what it applies to. This isn't everything because the manufacturers can split any ingredient. For example, you'll see corn gluten meal, corn flour, whole ground corn, peas, pea flour, pea protein, potato starch, potato protein, potato flour. So that's an example of ingredient splitting. I'll also show you some actual food examples and an example of before splitting and after splitting. So let me share my screen. Make sure you can see this. Here's an example of before and after splitting. Here is the corn at 30%, rice at 20%, and chicken meal at 18%. This isn't what you want to see on a bag of pet food. You don't want to see corn at all in your pet food, but for this example, we're using corn. After splitting, because you want to see the chicken meal first, and it actually artificially ends up in the first spot, because the corn is then split into corn meal and corn flour, 15% and 15%. Then they can split the rice into rice gluten and rice bran, so this will bring the rice lower on the ingredient list, which artificially pushes the chicken to the number one spot, but really corn is the main ingredient in this food, and then rice is actually still the second ingredient in this food because of how it's split. I hope that makes sense seeing this example. And I'll show you some actual foods. This food surprised me actually because this is a very expensive food. And here in this food, you'll see peas, then you'll see pea flour, and then you'll see pea protein. So peas are in there 3 times, 3 different ingredients. And this is all allowed in the pet food industry. It's all named differently, so it's a different ingredient. There's nothing wrong with whole peas, but for this case, you're seeing pea here 3 times. So if you put the percentages together for those 3 pea protein ingredients, there's a good chance that it actually is higher than this kangaroo meal ingredient because of how many times pea is in here. Here's another example. And this may not make a difference to you. It's actually a little bit of a controversial issue, but it is called one of the pet industry's dirty little secrets. It's a little bit deceptive to me that they're doing this. I don't like it. In this case, you see corn gluten meal, then you see whole grain corn. So corn is here twice. Add the percentages, and unfortunately we don't see these percentages, so we don't actually know if it's 10%, 15%, 20%. But if you put the corn gluten meal and the whole grain corn percentages together, there's a good chance because it's the number one ingredient, because chicken alone, whole chicken, doesn't give you much protein. It's probably 4 to 10% only of protein, because once the water is removed. Something else to keep in mind, these ingredients are all weighed before the cooking process. So these are weighed before the cooking process, not after the cooking process when the water is removed. So those are two examples of ingredient splitting. And again, when it comes to ingredient splitting, it does not apply to the animal protein source, just the other ingredients, such as the corn, peas, potatoes. These are just three examples of ingredient splitting. So I hope this has been helpful. Share it with others if you found it was beneficial. Any questions, please post them below. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you all again soon.